Hey guys, hopping on real quick. I know it has been a very long time. The podcast kind of took over my life for 2.5, 3 months. And then for those that know, my dog passed away, so we're alarm go off. And just getting back at it. But I haven't forgotten about you. I've actually been working on stuff. So already planned out 2022 and had a meeting with my business coach and really sat down and kind of highlighted what I'm great at, which is so funny because when you're really great at something, you don't realize you're good at it. So she brought up some things and I was like, really? I just thought everyone was good at that. And so I actually created a program that I will be announcing probably tomorrow because what I'm really great at is this is the one thing to do. My job, I'm a real coach. So what I do is I actually work with you to uncover what works for you because what works for you is going to be different than everyone else. And so created a program called Your Magnificent Mastermind that I will be talking about tomorrow and launching tomorrow. That's really focused on finding out what you care about, like what works for you, what learning style works for you, how do you calm yourself when you're overwhelmed? How do you stop your overthinking and not one way, your way? So I'll be talking about that tomorrow. But today is all about why change is so hard. So again, as always, if you want to dive deeper, jump into my Facebook group. I talk for 13 minutes, so I go deep into this one. But real quick, real simple, what happened is when we were a toddler, and toddlers do not make the best decisions. When we were a toddler, something happened, we made a decision, and that decision worked for us when we were a toddler. So the next time that happened, we knew that was going to work. So we made that decision. Right? Again, we're toddlers when we do this. So this might not be a great decision, but it makes sense to a toddler. Again, something happens, this worked, and we do this so many times. My pen is starting to dry out. Excuse me as I grab another pen. We'll go pink. That's not going to show up right on camera. Oh, sorry guys. We'll go dark pink. Yeah, okay. So we do it enough times that it becomes a habit. It becomes our automatic. It becomes autopilot. It becomes our default. The problem is when we made this decision and created this, we were toddlers. And again, toddlers don't always make the best choices. So that's why something happens and we're like, oh, I know better. But that's why I did that. Or that's all I know, right? That's why. But when we become self-aware or when we want more, better, different, then we might make a different choice. And now we're adults. We have a fully formed brain and we might make better choices because we're better informed. So the way that this works now is something happens, we automatically default to this decision. This decision owns us. We've done it throughout our whole entire lives. It has us, right? So we kind of do it and then we go, I know better. This happens a few times. I know better, but I did the exact same thing. If you can relate, you'll understand, right? This is what's happening if you can relate. But the beauty is you have awareness, and awareness is half of the battle because what ends up happening is one day you become aware, maybe here, you haven't made it all the way to the end. And so maybe you make it that far and then you go to this new decision. Can you see that line? Right? That's what awareness gives you the gift of. At some point, you'll become aware and you can stop it before you get to the end. Then now you're aware, you start, I don't know what's going on with my markers, but they don't want to work, guys. It's a little frustrating. You can tell I haven't used it in a little while. So then what ends up happening, and now we're blue, is you have all these points where something happens, maybe you recognize it, and then you make this decision. Something happens, maybe you go further down. So growth isn't linear. It's not going to be this process. You're going to hit all of these in all different ways, in all different orders, because growth is not linear. But as long as you have the awareness and you make a choice before you run to the end of that system, you're creating a new decision. Doing this enough then leads you to being able to more consistently make this choice. I'm not saying consistent, it's not going to be every single time, but more often you're starting to make this choice. Then you keep making that choice, you keep making that choice. I'm going to have to toss all of these markers, and they're so sad. These are Erin Condren markers. These are so expensive. Red's working. So what ends up happening is you make enough of this decision that this gets stronger than this, and eventually this neural pathway breaks and this becomes your default neural pathway. The beautiful thing is you're not basing your decision based on what you knew as a toddler. I said based twice in one sentence. You're basing the decision on what you know as an adult. So this is actually your choice, and this is what automatically happened. So that's why change is so hard, right? Our biology is kind of working against us. How we're made as humans is working against us, just purely by, that's how we're made. That's how everyone's made. That's why if you have kids and they know better and they make the wrong decision, that's why we as adults, we know better and we make the wrong decision. That's why we do it. So that's why it's hard. So what's important about that is having some form of support that is effective for you. So is that an accountability buddy? Is that coaching? Is that a group? Is that your best friend that loves you enough to be honest with you? What for you works to keep you accountable, to get you to make this decision more often than this one and all of these decisions, right? How do you get this more, how do you make that your default, and what support can you surround yourself to where that becomes your choice? So I hope you're having an amazing day. It's nighttime. You see how dark my windows are? As usual, join my Facebook group if you want to dive deeper. I hope you're having an amazing day. I think it's 15 seasons, 15 episodes, I think, of the Healing This podcast are out. Maybe it's 17, something around that. They were originally going to drop all 24 at once, and then they had some tech issues, and then they're dropping them as they can. So we've got some out. We have Charles Heulin. So if you're local and you want to listen to locals, I will say listen to Taran Pavao. She has an incredibly strong message when it comes to not doing drugs and redemption. So anyone who feels like they're so far that they can't change their lives, she's a beautiful example of redemption. She's someone that I met when we were started to do projects and started to do community events in Waianae. She's from Waianae. And she's someone that I've put in front of groups of young girls when I do community events, and she can change the room based on her story. And she's so raw and authentic. There will be some cursing because she's so raw and authentic on how drugs ruined her life and why you should never do it, and how you can always come back and change your life. Then we also have Dana is released. Dana is my personal business coach. She's a phenomenal business coach. Her whole thing is making fear your friend, right? Fear, we all have it. We all experience it. Some people say we can't have fear and faith in the same realm. Yes, you can. I can tell you the reason why I can be in so much fear is because of my faith, because I'm willing to step so far out of my comfort zone that I'm in an area that terrifies me. And the only reason why I'm in that area that terrifies me is because of my faith. But she talks about making fear your friend. We also have Charles Heulin. If you don't know who Charles Heulin is, please Google him. He, again, is from Waianae, born and raised in Waianae, got into a lot of trouble, went to prison, and had kids. Like, he should have been a statistic, right? He should have been a statistic. But if you know Charles Heulin, or if you know Waianae, Charles has transformed Waianae. He is the reason why tourists now go to Waianae. He also has brought the first credit union to Waianae. He has done so much in Waianae, and he is, again, another redemptive story of what happens when you heal yourself. Then you can have these major impacts and change your community beyond. And if you don't know who Charles Heulin is, but you know that someone donated $100,000 to build Waianae Elementary's Learning Center, that's him. Not only did he donate the money, he's a real estate developer, but he's also like building it. So he's donated well beyond $100,000 to Waianae Elementary. So he's a beautiful story to listen to, and he talks about that, but his big focus, because he's starting to really dive into this in his own, he's been doing it with other people, is he's really talking about men owning all of themselves and becoming what he calls a high level alpha, which I would call a whole man, so that they aren't like toxic, they aren't passive, they're men, but they're coming from their heart, they're leading with their heart. We also have MK Lani. I met her from this podcast. So she was on season 1. I was a guest on, so if you see, I was a guest on season 1. So they gave me this as like a token of appreciation, and I was the host for season 2. These little photo things behind me that are sitting on my couch. So she was a guest on season 1, and then we brought her back for season 2. And season 1, she talked about loving from a distance, how to get your stuff, how to unstick yourself from sticky situations. And on season 2, she talks about breaking through stereotypes, how, you know, just because people perceive you a certain way doesn't mean that's who you are, right? You can change that game for you anytime you want. We also talked, so that was 4, right? Adele Yoshikawa. So the postal workers food drive, did you know it's number 1 in the nation? Did you know that? When she took over, it was 200,000 pounds of food, and now she's gotten it to 700,000 pounds of food, and she's working towards 1 million pounds of food. So she does it to plug the Hawaii food drive for the postal workers, but she also shares how to do that yourself, right? If you have a cause you care about, how to get people to jump in and support you and help you and build it and grow it and scale it so that you can not only impact your community, but then like literally a lot of post offices look at what she's doing and learn from her. So not only is it the biggest food drive, they're leading the nation and teaching everyone else to do it. That's Adele Yoshikawa. And then I believe that's 5 people. There were 6 from Hawaii. So I said Taran, I said Dana, I said Charles, I said Adele, I said MK. And then Christine. She is a wellness realtor. So she talks about how your home can actually be healthy for you. And beyond that, we start talking about how do local families stay on this island, right? If you're local and you don't have, like if you have to buy your own place, and you know, we have lotteries and stuff like that, but if you have to buy your own place, how you can like stay here if you don't already have established land that you're inheriting from your parents or anything like that, or that you bought before, you know, in the 90s, right? So she shares how to be able to do that for Hawaii, how to be more sustainable and be able to stay here longer if you choose to stay in Hawaii, because so many of our families are being forced to move to the mainland. So yeah, if you didn't know, the Healing List, go listen to it. Those 6 episodes are all people. Well, I know that Charles is released, Adele is released, everyone except for Christine is released. For Hawaii people. But yeah, so hope you're having an amazing day. If you want to dive deeper on why change is so hard, join my Facebook group. It's absolutely free. I talk for 13 minutes there, and I wasn't talking about the Healing List podcast because I know I've gone on for a little bit here, but I wanted to talk about the Healing List podcast. And then we'll see. I'm sort of, maybe there might be some other, not with the Healing List, that I won't be doing anything with the Healing List in the future. Yet what we created is beautiful and has a major impact and can change lives. And my point and my intention of going in was to be able to offer information that can change lives. And there might be some podcasty stuff maybe locally happening at some point, maybe. So I hope you're having an amazing day, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.